Mildred's back hit the wood with a force that should have hurt, but all she felt was heat. His heat. Jeha's body pressed against hers, trapping her, claiming the space around her until there was nothing left but him. Say it, he murmured, his voice low and dangerous in the darkness. Tell me you want this. Mildred's breath came in shallow, desperate pulls. Her hands were pressed flat against his chest. Whether to push him away or pull him closer, she couldn't tell anymore. I can't, she whispered, but her body betrayed her. She was trembling, yes, but not from fear. From what? From the terrible, consuming need that had been building inside her for 3 weeks. Jeha leaned in, his lips a breath away from hers. You will. Before the night is over, you'll beg me. And when you do, his thumb brushed her bottom lip, possessive and sure. I'll give you everything you've been too afraid to ask for. Her eyes fluttered closed. His scent surrounded her, expensive cologne and something darker, more primal. But not yet, he said, pulling back slightly. I won't take your innocence until you beg me for it. Until you admit what you really are. Mildred's eyes snapped open, meeting his. Dark, intense, unyielding. What I am, she breathed. He smiled, slow and predatory. Mine. Mildred Okafor was supposed to be holy, raised by her dying uncle, a former pastor. She'd never been touched by a man. Never wanted to be. She worked at Club Deluxe in secret, lying that it was hospital work, desperate to save the only family she had left. Then Jeha noticed her. A Korean mafia heir. Dangerous, untouchable, bored with women who came too easily. He wanted her innocence. But more than that, he wanted to corrupt it. 3 weeks. That's all it took for him to awaken something dark inside her. Something she never knew she had. A hunger she couldn't pray away. Now she has to choose. Stay the good girl she believes she is, or surrender to the devil who promises to show her who she really is. Mildred adjusted her cocktail tray and forced a smile as she navigated through Club Deluxe's crowded floor. She'd been working here for 8 months, and still, the atmosphere made her skin crawl. But Uncle Desmond's medication cost $3,000 a month, and this job paid more than anything else she was qualified for. She told herself it was temporary, just until Uncle Desmond recovered, though they both knew recovery wasn't coming. That morning, before her shift, she'd helped him take his pills. His hands shook so badly she had to hold the glass of water to his lips. He'd looked at her with those watery, grateful eyes and said, You're my only blessing from God, Mildred. So pure. So good. I'm proud of you. Working at that hospital, helping people. The lie had slipped from her tongue easily. Just doing my part, Uncle. That's what you taught me. Guilt had flashed across her face, but she turned away quickly to hide it. He couldn't know the truth. It would kill him faster than the cancer. Across the club, in the VIP section cordoned off by velvet ropes and dangerous men, Jae-ha Kim swirled whiskey in his glass and tried to remember the name of the woman currently draped across his lap. He couldn't. Didn't matter. She'd be gone by morning, replaced by someone identical, beautiful, willing, forgettable. Hyung, you look bored, his second-in-command, Taeyong, said with a knowing smirk. Jae-ha was bored. Profoundly. At 29, he'd inherited his father's empire. The docks, the clubs, the underground networks that made Seoul's elite nervous and wealthy in equal measure. He had everything, and felt nothing. Same faces, same games, Jae-ha muttered, gently pushing the woman off his lap. She pouted, but knew better than to protest. Nothing surprises me anymore. Maybe you need a new type, another friend suggested. Someone who doesn't know who you are. Jae-ha laughed darkly. In this city, everyone knows who I am. Then he saw her. She wasn't the most beautiful woman in the room. The club employed models and actresses, but something about her stopped him cold. The way she carried herself. Nervous. Uncomfortable. Like she didn't belong here. Genuine innocence. In a place like this. Her, Jae-ha said, sitting up straighter. Bring her to me. Mildred's heart sank when the manager appeared at her elbow, whispering urgently, VIP section. Table 7. Now, she knew what Table 7 meant. Everyone did. Kong Jae-ha, the man who owned half the city and all of its shadows. Can someone else? He asked for you specifically. Go. Her legs felt like lead as she approached the VIP section. The men surrounding the table radiated danger. And in the center, watching her with unsettling focus, sat Jae-ha. Sit, he said simply. Sir, I'm working. I'm not asking. His voice was calm, but there was steel beneath it. She perched on the edge of the booth, as far from him as possible. His crew excused themselves without being told, leaving them in a bubble of privacy amid the chaos. What's your name? Mildred. How long have you worked here, Mildred? 8 months. Why? He leaned forward, studying her face like she was a puzzle. You don't belong here. I can tell. I need the money, she said carefully. My uncle is sick. Terminal lung cancer. The treatments. Noble. He reached across the table, fingers brushing her wrist. But that's not what interests me. The touch sent electricity through her. She gasped softly, pulling back, but not before he noticed. His eyes darkened with something predatory and pleased. Interesting, he murmured. Very interesting. Mildred stood abruptly. If that's all, I should get back to. I'll see you again, Mildred. Soon. It sounded like a promise and a threat. An hour later, Mildred pushed open the staff bathroom door, desperate for a moment of quiet. Her hands were shaking, her mind replaying that brief touch at the VIP table. What was wrong with her? His touch had lasted a second, and yet her whole body still hummed with awareness. She froze. In the corner, partially hidden by the shadow of the doorway, she saw them. Jeha had a woman pressed against the wall. Her dress hiked up, his hand tangled in her hair. The woman's head was thrown back, soft gasps escaping her lips. Mildred's breath caught audibly. Jeha's eyes snapped to hers in the mirror above the sinks. He didn't stop, didn't even slow down, just held her gaze with that dark, knowing look while the woman in his arms remained oblivious, eyes closed in pleasure. Mildred should leave. She knew she should leave, but her feet wouldn't move. She stood there, paralyzed, unable to look away. A slow, wicked smile curved across Jeha's lips. He finally stepped back from the woman, adjusting his shirt with deliberate casualness. Out, he told the woman without looking at her. But now, the woman grabbed her purse and left without argument, shooting Mildred a venomous look as she passed. Now it was just the two of them. Enjoying the show? Jeha asked, walking toward her slowly, predatory. I wasn't. I didn't mean to. I just needed. He cornered her against the sink, hands on either side of her, caging her in. You stood there, watched, didn't run away. I was leaving. Liar. He leaned closer, voice dropping to a whisper. Your pupils are dilated. Your breathing is shallow. You're curious. No. I saw it in your eyes. Not disgust. Interest. His thumb brushed her jaw. I'm going to corrupt you, Mildred. Slowly, thoroughly, until you forget what purity even means. She shook her head, but no words came. 3 weeks, he continued. That's how long you have before you're mine. Your mouth says no. His eyes dropped to her parted lips, her heaving chest. But your body is already saying yes. Please. I'll wait, but not long. He left her trembling against the sink, his cologne lingering in the air like a promise she was terrified she wanted him to keep. Mildred returned home at 3 a.m., her hands still shaking. Uncle Desmond was asleep in his room, his labored coughing echoing through the thin walls. She changed out of her uniform mechanically, climbed into bed, and closed her eyes. Sleep came quickly, too quickly. In the dream, she was back in that bathroom. But this time, she wasn't watching. This time, it was her against the wall, Jeha's hands on her body, his mouth on her neck. She arched into him, shameless, desperate. He whispered against her skin, say you want this. Say you want me to ruin you. And in the dream, she did. Yes, please, yes. She woke with a gasp, her body hot and aching, her heart racing. Shame crashed over her immediately. She pressed her hands to her face, mortified by the wetness on her cheeks. Tears, yes, but also something else. Something she couldn't name but felt everywhere. Mildred slipped out of bed and knelt on the cold floor, hands clasped, head bowed. Dear Lord, she whispered, deliver me from temptation. Cleanse my mind of these impure thoughts. I rebuke. The words died in her throat, because she was lying. To God, to herself. She didn't want deliverance. She wanted Jeha to do exactly what he'd promised. She wanted him to corrupt her. Slowly, thoroughly, until she forgot what purity even meant. The desire wasn't new. It had always been there, buried deep, smothered under layers of propriety and fear. He'd just given it permission to surface. The tears came harder now, but they weren't tears of shame. They were relief. The relief of finally admitting the truth, even if only to herself. She stayed on her knees until dawn, not praying, just accepting. The next morning, her phone buzzed while she was helping Uncle Desmond with his medication. 3 weeks. I'm counting down. Are you? Her breath caught. Another message followed immediately. A photo of her apartment building, taken from across the street. This morning, minutes ago. I know where you live, what time you leave, where you go. You can't hide from me, Mildred. But you already know that, don't you? She should block the number. Report him. Run. Instead, she deleted the messages but left the number unblocked. Everything all right, dear? Uncle Desmond asked weakly, noticing her distraction. Yes, Uncle. Just work stress. He patted her hand. You work too hard for me. I don't deserve you. Guilt twisted in her stomach, but she forced a smile. You're worth it. A week later, everything changed. The hospital called while Mildred was folding laundry. Uncle Desmond's condition had deteriorated. He needed surgery immediately. Without it, he had 6 months. Maybe less. How much? She asked, voice hollow. $50,000. It's experimental, so insurance won't cover. I understand. Thank you. She hung up and stared at the wall. Even with her club salary, even working every shift available, she'd never raised that much in time. The surgery had to happen within 2 weeks, or the window would close. That evening, Uncle Desmond held her hand and smiled peacefully. God will provide, Mildred. He always does. We just have to have faith. She nodded, squeezing his hand, saying nothing. Faith wouldn't pay for surgery. Miracles didn't come with price tags, but deals with devils did. The next night at Club Deluxe, a delivery arrived during her shift. A large black box with her name on it. Her manager appeared at her elbow, practically vibrating with anxiety. Open it. Now. Inside was a dress, emerald green silk, elegant but daring, with a neckline that would make her uncle weep. A card lay on top. Asterisk, wear this tonight. The uniform doesn't do you justice. J asterisk. Mr. Kim owns 40% of this club, the manager hissed. You wear the dress. You smile. You do whatever he asks. Understood? Mildred looked at the dress, then at her reflection in the locker room mirror. She thought about the surgery, the deadline, Uncle Desmond's peaceful faith in a God who wasn't answering. She put on the dress, but she added a cardigan. Jeha was waiting in the VIP section alone tonight. When Mildred approached, his eyes traveled slowly from her face to the cardigan and back again. He smiled, not angry but amused. The cardigan is a nice touch, he said. Defiance looks good on you. I wore your dress. You did, but you're still hiding. He stood, walked to her slowly. Let me help with that. His hands moved to her shoulders, fingers slipping beneath the cardigan. She stood frozen as he eased it off, the fabric sliding down her arms. His touch was deliberate, lingering on her bare skin. She trembled visibly. There she is, he murmured, stepping back to look at her. Beautiful. What do you want from me? The question came out more desperate than she intended. I thought I made that clear. He returned to his seat, gestured for her to sit across from him. But first, I have a gift for you. He slid an envelope across the table. She opened it with shaking hands. Inside was a contract. Her work contract with Club Deluxe. Stamped, purchased. You work for me now, Jeha said calmly. Exclusively. Your salary is tripled. The money is yours regardless of what happens between us. I don't understand. You need money. I have it. Consider it an investment. His eyes held hers. I don't want you because you're desperate, Mildred. I want you because you want me. And when you finally admit that when you come to me without excuses or bargains, it will be worth every penny. She stared at him, her mind reeling. This wasn't coercion. This was something stranger. More dangerous. Why? She whispered. Because corruption doesn't mean anything if it's forced. True surrender only matters when you choose it. He leaned forward. And you will choose it, Mildred. Soon. She left the VIP section with the contract clutched in her hands, her heart pounding, unsure if she'd just been saved or damned. Over the next 3 days, Jeha tightened his grip on Mildred's world in ways both subtle and undeniable. On the 9th day, he ordered chocolate cake and refused to eat it himself. Instead, he handed her the fork and leaned back, eyes fixed on hers with predatory focus. She hesitated, then brought the fork to his mouth. He took the bite slowly, never breaking eye contact. When she tried to pull her hand away, he caught her wrist and brought her fingers to his lips, licking away a trace of chocolate. Her breath hitched audibly. Everything you touch becomes mine, he whispered. The 10th day brought violence. A drunk patron stumbled into Mildred, spilling his drink down the front of her dress. Before she could react, Jeha was there. The sound of breaking bone echoed through the club as he twisted the man's hand at an unnatural angle. Security dragged the screaming patron away while Jeha took Mildred's elbow, guiding her to his private office. I'm fine, she managed, though her dress was soaked and her hands were shaking. He didn't respond. Instead, he retrieved a towel and began wiping the liquor from her collarbone with deliberate slowness. His thumb traced the hollow of her throat. Then he brought it to his mouth, tasting the alcohol mixed with her skin. Even your skin tastes innocent, he said softly. I'm going to ruin that. Later that same evening, he noticed her earring, cheap costume jewelry, one side broken and hanging awkwardly. Without asking permission, he reached up and removed it from her ear. She froze as he pulled a small velvet box from his pocket, revealing diamond studs that probably cost more than her entire year's salary. Hold still, he commanded. Before she could protest, he pierced her ear with the new earring, his fingers steady and sure. She gasped at the sharp pain and the overwhelming intimacy of the act. He fastened the backing, then touched her earlobe possessively, his thumb lingering. Everything I give you, you keep, he said. Everything I touch belongs to me now. On the 11th day, another gift arrived, a delicate chain with a fallen angel pendant. The note was brief, for when you fall, and you will. She should have thrown it away. Instead, she hid it in her nightstand drawer. That night, after helping Uncle Desmond to bed, she took it out and held it up to the lamplight, watching it catch and scatter the glow. Eventually, she fastened it around her neck, tucking it beneath her nightgown where no one could see. The next evening at the club, Jahan noticed immediately. His eyes went to her collar, where the chain was barely visible. He crossed the floor in 3 strides and caught her wrist. You're wearing it. Heat flooded her face. It was just. Show me. She hesitated, acutely aware of the other patrons, the staff, the eyes on them. But his expression left no room for refusal. Slowly, she reached up and pulled the pendant out from beneath her collar. He didn't touch it. Instead, he leaned in close, his breath warm against her neck as he examined the fallen angel resting against her skin. She could feel the heat radiating from him, smell his cologne, feel the weight of his presence. Her body shuddered involuntarily. Good girl, he whispered against her ear, then walked away, leaving her trembling and aching in ways she didn't want to examine. Sunday arrived with the weight of obligation. Mildred pushed Uncle Desmond's wheelchair through the doors of their small Korean church, the familiar hymns already echoing from inside. The pastor preached about resisting temptation, about the devil appearing as an angel of light. Mildred sat through it with her hands clenched in her lap, the fallen angel pendant burning against her skin beneath her modest dress. After the service, as Uncle Desmond was wheeled to the fellowship hall by a church friend, she saw him. Jeha stood at the back of the church, hands in his pockets, watching her. Fury and panic warred in her chest. She waited until Uncle was safely inside the hall, then marched outside where Jeha was leaning against his car. What are you doing here? She hissed. This is my church. You can't. I used to come here, he said quietly, and something in his tone stopped her cold. With my mother. Before she died. Mildred faltered. What? She brought me every Sunday. Prayed for me. Believed I could be good. His expression was unreadable. My father died despite her prayers. Then she died too. Faith died with them. Before Mildred could respond, Uncle Desmond was wheeled over by a smiling church volunteer. Mildred, aren't you going to introduce us to your friend? Jeha transformed instantly, warm, respectful, charming. He shook Uncle Desmond's frail hand gently, introduced himself as a friend from the hospital. Uncle Desmond beamed, delighted, and invited him to visit their home sometime. After Uncle was wheeled back inside, Mildred turned on Jeha desperately. Please, stay away from him. Don't ruin this. Don't tell him about. I won't tell him about the club, Jeha interrupted. Not because you asked, but because I don't need to threaten you. He stepped closer, his hand coming up to touch her cheek. You're already mine. You've been mine since you didn't run when you should have. I'm not. Then why are you wearing my necklace under that modest dress? His thumb traced her jaw. Why did you look disappointed when I didn't come to the club yesterday? She couldn't answer. The truth was lodged in her throat, too terrifying to release. I don't need to threaten you, he said softly. Your body's already betrayed you. I'm just waiting for your mind to catch up. He left her standing in the church parking lot, the Sunday sun beating down, the hymn still echoing faintly from inside. That night, before she left for her shift, Uncle Desmond held her hands and prayed over her. Lord, keep my niece pure. Protect her from evil. Let her walk in righteousness. Bless her with a godly husband someday. Every word felt like a blade. Because she didn't want protection from evil, she wanted to embrace it. She didn't want a godly husband. She wanted the devil himself. Amen, she whispered, thinking only of Jeha's hands, his voice, his promises. She was already falling, and she knew it. Then Jeha vanished. For 3 days, he didn't come to the club. No texts, no calls, no presence in the shadows where she'd grown accustomed to finding him. At first, Mildred felt relief wash over her like cold water. Maybe he'd lost interest. Maybe she could breathe again. Maybe she could reclaim some fragment of herself. By the second day, relief had curdled into something else. Agitation. Restlessness. She caught herself scanning the VIP section every few minutes, her heart jumping at every dark-haired man who walked through the door. None of them were him. By the 3rd day, she couldn't sleep, couldn't focus. The realization hit her with the force of a physical blow. She was addicted to his presence, his attention, the gravitational pull of him. She missed him, and she hated herself for it. Uncle Desmond noticed. You're somewhere else these days, he said gently over breakfast, his hand trembling as he lifted his tea. Is everything all right at work? Fine, she lied, the word automatic now. Just tired. But she wasn't fine. She was unraveling, coming apart at the seams, and the worst part was knowing exactly why. On the 15th day, the hospital called. Miss Adeyemi, we need to schedule your uncle's surgery immediately. We have a window in 3 days, but after that, his condition will be inoperable. We'll need the full payment up front. Mildred's world tilted. 3 days? I'm sorry. It's now or never. She did the math in her head for the 100th time. Even with Jeha's inflated salary, even working every possible shift, she was $30,000 short. 30,000. She might as well have needed 30 million. That night at the club, she made it through 2 hours of her shift before the reality crushed her. She found herself in the back hallway, hidden from view, sliding down the wall until she sat on the cold floor. The tears came violently, her body shaking with sobs she couldn't control. Her uncle was going to die, and it was her fault for not being enough, earning enough, being able to save him. She didn't hear the footsteps until he was right there. Jeha crouched in front of her, his expression unreadable. For 3 days, she'd ached for him. Now here he was, and she couldn't even feel relief through the grief. What happened? His voice was softer than she'd ever heard it. She tried to lie to hide, but the tears wouldn't stop. My uncle. Surgery. 3 days. I don't have, her voice broke. I can't save him. Jeha pulled out his phone without hesitation. His fingers moved across the screen with practiced efficiency. 30 seconds later, he showed her the confirmation. $50,000 transferred directly to Seoul Memorial Hospital, surgery pre-authorized. Mildred stared at the screen, her mind refusing to process what she was seeing. What did you? I can't. It's done. But I can't pay you back. I don't have. I'm not asking you to pay me back. She looked up at him through blurred vision, searching his face for the trap, the price, the demand. What do you want in return? Nothing. He reached out and wiped a tear from her cheek with his thumb. Right now, I want nothing. Your uncle gets the surgery. He lives. No strings. I don't understand. I know. He stood, offering his hand to help her up. She took it automatically, and he pulled her to her feet. I want you, Mildred. But I want you to choose me. Not because you're desperate. Not because you owe me. Because you can't help yourself. He walked away then, leaving her standing in that hallway with everything she needed and none of the understanding she craved. The relief should have been overwhelming. Instead, she felt something darker settling over her like a second skin. The debt wasn't financial anymore. It was emotional, soul deep, and that was infinitely more dangerous. The surgery happened the next morning. Mildred sat in the waiting room for 8 hours, her hands clasped so tightly her knuckles went white. When the surgeon finally emerged and said the word successful, she nearly collapsed. Uncle Desmond woke in recovery that evening, groggy but smiling. His hand found hers, squeezed weakly. God provided, he whispered, his voice rough from the breathing tube. I knew he would. I prayed, and he answered. Mildred nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. She couldn't tell him the truth, that God hadn't provided. The devil had. The man she'd been warned about her entire life had saved the person she loved most, asking nothing in return. She stayed by his bedside through the night, watching him sleep peacefully for the first time in months. And as dawn broke through the hospital window, she acknowledged the feeling that had been building inside her for days, weeks, since the moment Jeha had first touched her wrist and looked at her like he could see straight through to her bones. Gratitude. Deep, overwhelming, complicated gratitude toward Jeha. And beneath that, something darker she didn't want to name. The debt felt like a chain now, linking them together. But the terrifying part wasn't that he'd bound her to him. It was that she didn't want to break free. Jeha returned the next night. The VIP section was empty except for him. He'd rented the entire space. When Mildred approached, her practiced greeting died on her lips. He gestured to the seat beside him, not across from him. Your uncle is recovering well, I hear. Yes, thanks to you. I don't know how I can ever. I told you. No strings. He pulled out a tablet, turned it toward her. But I do want to show you something. Security footage played on the screen. Her, over the past 3 weeks. Every moment her body had betrayed her. The way she leaned into his touch before catching herself. Her dilated pupils when he entered a room. The frantic way she'd scanned the club entrance during his 3-day absence. And there, her face in that hallway when he'd appeared, the naked relief she couldn't hide. This is what I see, he said quietly. Your body wants me even when your mind fights it. You pray for strength to resist me, but you're not praying hard enough because you don't really want to resist. She couldn't speak. The evidence was undeniable, damning, true. He set the tablet aside and reached for the whiskey bottle on the table. She'd never seen him drink like this, quickly, carelessly, his movements less controlled than usual. When he finally looked at her again, something raw flickered behind his eyes. Come here, he said. She should have refused. Instead, she found herself moving closer. He pulled her onto his lap in one swift motion. Her breath caught. His hand came up to her throat, not squeezing, just holding, his thumb resting against her racing pulse. Do you know what you do to me? His voice was rougher now, unguarded. I think about ruining you every second, taking everything pure about you and making it mine. Every prayer you whisper, every innocent thought. I want to corrupt all of it until you forget what it felt like to be good. Why me? The question came out barely above a whisper. Because you're the only thing I've ever wanted that I can't just take. His grip on her throat tightened slightly, possessive. I have to make you give it to me. And you will. Then he released her abruptly, stood, and called for his driver. He was gone before she could process what had happened, leaving her sitting alone in the VIP section with her hand pressed to her throat where his had been, her pulse still thundering beneath her fingertips. The next evening at the club, Mildred was refilling glasses at the bar when he appeared behind her. She felt him before she saw him, that magnetic pull that made her skin prickle with awareness. Your uncle will make a full recovery, Jeha said without preamble. Surgery successful. No complications. You don't owe me money. She turned to face him. I know. I wanted to thank you. I don't want gratitude. His eyes held hers with hypnotic intensity. I want you to stop lying to yourself. I'm not. You pray for deliverance, but you wear my gifts under your clothes. You say you hate me, but you search for me every night I was gone. You tell your uncle you're pure while you dream about me doing things to you that would make him weep. He stepped closer, his voice dropping. You want this. You want me. You've wanted this since the first night. That's not true, isn't it? He pulled something from his pocket, a hotel key card. 3 days. Come away with me. No club. No uncle. No prayers. Just you and me. Her heart hammered against her ribs. And then what? If after 3 days you can look me in the eye and tell me you feel nothing, I walk away. Forever. The debt is forgiven. You never see me again. His eyes darkened. But if you can't, if I can't, then you admit what you are. What you've always been. He pressed the key card into her palm, his fingers closing over hers. Mud. She looked down at the card. The Shilla Hotel. Penthouse suite. Tonight. Midnight. Come or don't. He leaned in close, his lips nearly brushing her ear. But if you don't, you'll spend the rest of your life wondering what you were too afraid to become. Then he was gone, leaving her standing at the bar with the key card burning in her hand. The rest of her shift passed in a blur. Mildred moved through her duties mechanically, serving drinks, clearing tables, smiling at customers, while her mind spun in endless circles. The key card sat in her apron pocket, a small rectangle of plastic that felt heavier than lead. At 11:30, she found herself sitting in the empty staff room during her break. The club pulsed with music beyond the door, but in here, it was almost quiet. She pulled out the key card and stared at it. The Shilla Hotel. Penthouse suite. Midnight. 1 hour. She had 1 hour to decide. So tell us, what do you think Mildred did? Did she walk out of that club and get in a taxi to the Shilla Hotel? Did she choose Jeha? Choosing desire over duty, honesty over hypocrisy, the devil who tells the truth over the version of herself everyone else believes in? Or did she stay in that staff room until midnight passed, then went home? Not just for Uncle Desmond, but for herself, choosing to hold onto the last pieces of who she was before he touched her, choosing to believe she's still strong enough to resist, choosing to prove that maybe, just maybe, she's not as far gone as the surveillance footage suggests, that the girl who prayed every night isn't completely dead yet. Did she surrender to the darkness that's been calling her since the first night? Or did she fight one more time? For her soul, for her sanity, for the fragile hope that she can still save herself? Did she go? Or did she stay? What would you do? Part 2 coming soon.